Hello everyone, this is Hamish the Coo, here to introduce Ms.Nikki, who today will be reading Curious George Flies a Kite, also known as Kite Monkey, by H.A. and Margaret Ray. Okay, I'll throw it over to her now. Enjoy! See you soon. Hello everyone, let's jump right on in. Curious George Flies a Kite, published in 1958. This is George. He lives in the house of the man with the yellow hat. George is a little monkey, and all monkeys are curious, but no monkey is as curious as George. That is why he is called Curious George. There's George. He has a big ball, big bouncy ball, and a giraffe. And there's our man. I have to go out now, said the man with the yellow hat. Be a good little monkey till I come back. Have fun and play with your new ball. But do not be too curious. And the man went away. We don't know where. It was a lot of fun for George to play with his big new bouncy ball. The ball went up and George went up. The ball went down and George went down. Will you catch it? George could do a lot of tricks with his new bouncy ball. This was one of the tricks. He could get up on the ball like this, or do it this way with his head down. This was another trick where George could do. He could hold the ball on his head like this. Look, no hands. What a good trick. But where did the ball go? Where did the ball go? George ran after it. There he goes. The ball had gone into another room. There was a big window in the room. George liked to look out of that window. He could see a lot from there. He let the ball go and he looked out. George got a little distracted. And if you remember from Job Monkey, there is George's bugle. Actually, it's from Bike Monkey. Just a little Easter egg. George could see Bill on his bike and the lake with a boat on it. George could also see a big house and a little garden, and a little house and a big garden. The big house was the house where Bill lived, but who lived in the little house? George was curious. Who could live in a house that was so tiny? Oh, there's Bill on the bike with his kite. George had to find out, so he went to the big garden. The garden had a high wall, but not too high for a monkey. George got up on the wall. All he had to do now was jump down. So George jumped down into the big garden. He said, "Whee!" And he landed. There's Mr. Squirrel, and there's two birds. Now he could take a good look at the little house. And what did he see? A big white bunny and a lot of little bunnies. George looked and looked. Bunnies were something new to him. How funny they were. The big bunny was the mommy bunny. She was as big as George. But the little bunnies were so little that George could hold one of them in his hand. And that is what he wanted to do. How could he get a bunny out of the house? A house must have a door to get in and to get out. But where was the door to the bunny house? Oh, there it was. George put his hand in and he took out the baby bunny. What fun it was to hold a baby bunny, and the bunny did not mind. It sat on his hand, no problem. One ear up and one ear down. And he looked at George, and George looked back at it. Now, he and the bunny could play in the garden. They could play a game. They could play Get the Bunny. George would let the bunny hop away, hop, 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 and then he would run after it and get it back. George put the bunny down. Here George is telling the bunny all the instructions. Does the bunny pay attention? I don't think so. Then he looked away. 1, 2, run! The bunny was off like a shot. There the bunny goes. George did not look. He had to wait a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4. He waited. Then he looked up. Where was the bunny? He could not see it. Where was it? Where had it gone? George looked for it here, and he looked for it there. He could not find it. Oh no, there's George looking. Where was the bunny? It could not get out of the garden, could it? It could not get up the wall. It could not fly away. It had to be here, but it was not. The bunny was gone. And all the fun was gone too. Poor George. Oh. George sat down. He had been a bad little monkey. Why was he so curious? Why did he let the bunny go? Now he cannot put it back into the bunny house. Where could it be? He had to get it back for Mommy Bunny. Mommy Bunny, thought George. He looked up. Why, that was it. Mommy Bunny could help him. Oh, look, there's a bird. He's saying, tweet, 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 bad monkey. George got up. He had to have some string. Maybe there was some in the garden. Yes, there was a string, and a good one, too. There's a string. He took the string and went back to the bunny house. What will George do? There's George. Mother Bunny was at the door. George let her out and put the string on her, and Mommy Bunny knew exactly what to do. There's Mommy Bunny. And away she went with her head down and her ears up. All George could do was hold the string and run after her. Let's see, there's Mommy Bunny, George, and all the baby bunnies waiting for their brother or their sister. And then Mother Bunny sat down. She saw something, and George saw it too. Something white that looked like a tail, like the tail of a baby bunny. And that is what it was. But where was the rest of the bunny? Who can find the tail? Give it a pause and see. I believe it's right here. Look at all these beautiful flowers. They're red and they're yellow and they're blue. I think it's springtime here. The bunny was down in a hole. A bunny likes to dig a hole and then go down and live in it. But this bunny was too little to live in a hole. It should live in a bunny house. So George got hold of the little white tail and pulled the baby bunny out. Then they all ran back to the bunny house. George did not have to put a string on the baby bunny. He knew exactly where to go. George took the string off of Mommy Bunny and helped him back into the house. There they go. Look, all the brothers and sisters. So happy to see Mommy and baby. Then Mother Bunny and all the little ones laid down to sleep. It had been an exhausting day. George looked at them. It was good to see the baby bunny back where it should be. And now George would go back to where he should be. When he came to the wall, he could see something funny in back of it. I see this. What is it? George got up on the wall to find out what it was. Curious again. He saw a long string on a long stick. A man had the long stick in his hand. What could the man do with the stick that long? George was curious. The man was on his way to the lake, and soon George was on his way to the lake too. He thought, I might as well follow the man, see where he's going. The man took a hook out of his box. He put it on a string and then put something on the hook. Then the man let out the string down into the water and waited. Now George knew the string on the stick was to fish with. How exciting. When the man pulled the string out of the water, there was a big fish on the hook. There's the fish. George saw the man pull one fish after another out of the lake till he had all the fish that he wanted. What fun it must be to fish. And the man is smoking. Should we smoke, boys and girls? No, it's not good for your lungs. George wanted to fish too. He had his string. All he needed was a stick. and he knew where to get that. He ran home as fast as his little legs could carry him, which was quite fast. There he is. In the kitchen, he took the mop off the kitchen wall. The mop would make a very good stick. Now George had the string and the stick. He was all set to fish. Or was he? Not yet. George had to have a look. And he looked for a hook. And on the hook, something that the fish would like to eat. What would the fish like to eat? Fish would like cake. And George knew where to find some. But where could he get a hook? Why, there was a hook for the mop on the kitchen wall. It would have to come out. George is being very resourceful. So there he is getting the cake. There's his box. There's some pans here for cooking because he's in the kitchen. And there's George. He's going to get that hook. And there he goes. With the hook on the string and the string on the stick and the cake in the box in his hand, George went back to the lake. George sat down. He put some cake on the hook and let the line down into the water. Now he had to wait, just as the man had waited. George was curious. Wow, look at all the fish. There's big fish and little fish and medium-sized fish. They all want the cake. What kind of cake might it be? Could it be carrot cake? That's my type of favorite cake. What's your favorite cake? The fish were curious too. All kinds of fish came to look at the line. Big fish and little fish, fat fish and thin fish, red fish and yellow fish and blue fish as well. One of them was near the hook. The cake was just what he wanted. George sat and waited. Then the line shook. Shh! There must be a fish on the hook. George pulled the line up. The cake was gone, but no fish was on the hook. Too bad. George put more cake on the hook. Maybe this time he would get a fish. But no, the fish just took the cake off the hook and they went away. George was mad. Well, if George cannot get the fish would not get the cake. George would eat it. He liked cake too. He would find another way to get a fish. And there George goes. He's eating the yummy cake. Okay, this is the other way George can get the fish. What do we think might happen? Let's find out. George looked into the water. That big red one there with the long tail. It was so near, maybe he could get it with his hands. George got down as low as he could and put out his hand. Splash! Into the lake he went. The water was cold and wet, and George was cold and wet too. This was no fun at all, George thought. Oh, but that frog's having a great time. He says, wee! Monkey in the lake. When he came out of the water, there was Bill with his kite. My, you are wet, Bill said. I saw you fall in, so I came to help you get out. Too bad you did not get your fish, but it is good the fish did not get you. Ha ha ha, said Bill. Now, was that funny? Now, can I show you how high my kite can fly? Bill went on. Bill put his bike up near a tree, and then they ran off. Bill really wants to show George his kite. And look at the beautiful tassels. There's 1, 2, 3. There was a lot of wind that day, and that was just what they needed. The wind took the kite up fast. George was too little to hold it in the wind, though, so Bill did it. A kite that big could fly away with George if he did. George saw the kite go up and up and up. What fun it was to fly a kite! And there it goes, high up into the sky with the birds. They let the kite fly for a long time, till Bill said, I will get the kite down now. I must go home, and you should too. But when Bill pulled the string in, the kite got into the top of a high tree. There's the kite. Bill cannot get it down again. Oh, my fine new kite. I cannot let go of it. I must have it back. Bill said, but the tree is too high for me to get. Oh, do we think Bill will get the kite or will George get the kite? Because who are good climbers? Monkeys are. And looks like that's what happened. There's George. But no tree was too high for George. He went up to the top in no time at all. Then little by little he got the string out of the tree. Wasn't that nice of George to help Bill? Down he came with the kite and he gave it back to Bill. Thank you, George. Thanks a lot, Bill said. I am so happy to have the kite back. Now you may have a ride home on my bike. I will run back to the lake and I will get it. You wait here for me with the kite. But do not let it fly away, instructed Bill. Will George listen? Let's find out. George looked at the kite. Then he took the string in his hand. He knew he could not fly the kite in this wind. But maybe he could let it go for just a little bit. George was curious. He let the string go a little, and then a little more, and then a little more, and then a little more. And look, there's the wind gust. What will it do for George? Oh, there George goes. When Bill came back, there was no kite, and there was no George. George, he called, where are you? Then he looked up, and there they were, up in the sky. Bill had to get help fast. He would go to the man with the yellow hat. The man would know exactly what to do. And there he goes off on his bike to help George. George is not here, said the man with the yellow hat when Bill came. Have you seen him? George and my kite are up in the sky near the lake, Bill shouted. I came too. But the man did not wait to hear any more. He ran to his car and he jumped right on in. I will get him back, he said. I must get George back. Oh, jumping right into action. And there's George, very high up. All this time, the wind took the kite up and George with it. It was fun to fly about in the sky, but when George looked down, the fun was gone. He was up so high that all the big houses looked as little as the bunny houses. George did not like it a bit. He wanted to get down, but how? Not even a monkey can jump from the sky. George was scared. What if he never got back? Maybe he would fly on and on and on. Oh, he would never be so curious again. If just this one time he could find a way to get home. Look at all the houses down here and the beautiful lake. And there's a boat, some fields. But George is quite high. Oh, here's friend comes. What was that? George could hear something and he saw something fly in the sky just like a kite. It was a helicopter. And in the helicopter, hooray, was the man with the yellow hat. There he is. He's come to the rescue. Down from the helicopter came a long line. George got hold of it, and the man with the yellow hat pulled him up. George held on to the kite, for he had to give it back to Bill. So there's the string, George, the kite, and there's the man. Maybe he's a pilot. I am so happy to have you back, George, said the man with the yellow hat. I was scared, and you must have been scared too. I know you will not want to fly a kite again for a long time. You must give it back to Bill when we get home, okay? Said the man with the yellow hat. George said, okay. And into the helicopter he got. Hooray, Bill said when George came back to give him the kite. George is back and my kite is back too. And there George goes. And then Bill took George by the hand and went with him into the little garden. And from the little garden into the big garden where the bunny house was. What do you think Bill will give George? Give it a thought. Let's see. I think Bill will give him a bunny. Here's one of my baby bunnies, Bill said. Take it. It is for you. A baby bunny for George? George took it in his hands and he held it way up. It was his bunny now. He could take it home with him. He was very happy. And that is exactly what he did. Can you name George's bunny? Give it a thought. But isn't it cute? Now, isn't that a good story? Let's say goodbye. Goodbye, George. Goodbye, Kite. Goodbye, book. We'll see you a different day. Back to Hamish. Hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that. And remember, give it a like and subscribe if you'd like to see some more. Have a fantastic day. See you again soon. Bye.